Thank you, Jane. As Jane has introduced, my name is Eleanor, and I'm one of the co-founders of Disabled People Against Cuts. DPAC started here in the West Midlands when we marched in protest at the Tory Party conference in 2010. At the onslaught of the cuts started at the spending review in that year. I remember people saying that I was scaremongering when I said that we will be returning to the Victorian times as the cumulative effects are felt. I don't think that any of us saw the extent of the cuts then. We didn't foresee that people would be driven back to suicides because they had no recourse to benefits that kept a modicum of independent living. Disabled people suddenly had to justify and prove their impairments. Previously, we wanted to prove how we could live normal lives. Let me give you an example of the cumulative effect of austerity and the social welfare reforms for a disabled person. Let's use an example. Let's name him Tom. Tom is a wheelchair user. He works part-time for a charity. His health does not permit him to work full-time, and it's not easy to get a job as a disabled person anyway. But he manages to have a reasonable life. He lives frugally. He gets a disability living allowance, DLA, and he uses it to get a car through Motability, which he uses to get to work. He gets a care package from his council, not much, just enough to help him shower and get rest for work during the week. He has a 2-bedroom council bungalow because he needs an accessible home. This is the case in Coventry. The only accessible accommodation I was ever offered was 2 bedrooms. One day he gets a letter from DWP, ATOS, saying that he needs to be assessed for DLA. They declared that he's no longer eligible for DLA, which means that not only has he not got the money anymore, but he has no longer his car. So he can't get to work. He's not very good at managing buses, but he doesn't have a free pass without his DLA. He loses his job. His council decides to cut down his care package because of budget cuts. He lives on his own, and suddenly he doesn't know how to cope. His health gets spiraling down. He can't go shopping either without his car. He doesn't know how to do online shopping because he's not internet savvy. So he gets on ESA, but then ATOS says he's fit to work. He finds it difficult to get to the job centre, and he doesn't know how to appeal. He gets sanctioned. He has no money to feed himself or pay his utilities. And then they say, because he lives on his own and the bedroom tax, he has to downsize. But the council put him there because it's an accessible place. There are no accessible 1-bedroom flats. And he can't pay. And he can't move. He gets very depressed. He's about to be made homeless, and he has no idea what to do next. Are we surprised he gets suicidal? Are we surprised that disabled people who are caught in this vicious cycle wish to commit suicide? And there are a lot of them. People who are least able to fight back. Loss of legal aid means that it's getting more difficult to fight back. Another of those cuts with effects on disabled people. And I have not even mentioned those with mental health issues, whose stress level is exacerbated by cuts, nor those with learning difficulties. I have not mentioned the ridiculous hoops the assessment made people to do through ATOS, only to say that they are fit to work for jobs that do not exist. Alongside is the scapegoating of disabled people as scroungers. And disability hate crime is on the increase. Along with direct actions against DWP ATOS, DPAC has been campaigning against the closure of Independent Living Fund. The ILF enables disabled people to live, work and study independently. This support is invaluable for people with severe impairments. There was a court appeal ruling in November that squashed the original closure decision. However, the closure of Independent Living Fund announced by the government today is a devastating blow for thousands of disabled people who rely on it. Removing this lifeline risks seriously reducing the quality of the life of users. It means that they will be forced into residential care. At the time, the EHRC, Equality Human Rights Commission, said that the judges decided there was insufficient evidence that the very grave impact on those affected was properly brought to the minister's attention, despite officials having clearly informed of the possible effects not only by the service users but also by local authorities. Local authorities, which will pick up a responsibility from June 2015, Coventry and Warwickshire councils in this case, would, I'm sure you agree, always be trusted to provide the right services for these disabled people, and that council support will be ring-fenced and will not be driven excessively by budgets rather than need. I am not sure how this government can overturn the Court of Appeal ruling, but many of my friends are devastated by this. Independent living will be difficult for them, and they might be left to services where they have to decide between going to the toilet or having a cup of tea. And many of them have jobs. They are RTs, administrators, and some of them are even in the House of Lords. They might have no choice. They might be put into residential homes. Last night, I was out celebrating the lives of disabled women at the South Bank for International Women's Week. Anne Pridmore was one of the defendants in the case, told about having something like the ILF that made a change in her life. She said once she was fighting for young disabled people as well. Disabled people fought hard for disability rights in the last 2 decades. We will not be put back where we were. We will continue fighting. And some of them have said to the death. Let's hope it will not come to that. Let's do it together. We can stop that happening. Thank you.